Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but since I finished all of the tutorials and guides for Season 4's dungeons, I thought I would make a new series. I have been asked quite a bit from some people if I would do some higher end kind of overviews, I guess, so I think we'll just start off with a commentary. I thought we'd start off with Streets and Gambit first because those are the ones that I didn't really go over much in the newer guides because I did make them in Season 3. But there are a few things that have changed in Season 3 to Season 4, so this might be a nice refresher for people, or to kind of see and show what groups at a higher setting would do. Now, this isn't a crazy high key by any means. This is it's a 26. For some people it might be insanely high, and some people it might be very, very low, so, to each their own. But we'll start off the key, obviously going to go Haste. As a Blood DK you always will. There's never really a chance that you would ever go anything else. So we're going to start off just Death and Decaying the front pack, and just Lusting straight away off the bat to get it on cooldown. It is a fortified week, so that's why we are doing it. If it was a tyrannical week, we would save it for the first boss. Now you can, at this point, LOS in any of these corners, behind these little protruding bits on the wall here. It will help a lot for the healer and save the healer from having to use so many cooldowns on this first pack. But we just decided to just brute force it. It is a bit rough, but we're just trying to go as fast as possible and get the 2 chests on the 26, try and get a 28. So we're going through there, and these are just very standard pulls. There's not really much you can change in the first few pulls, since Streets is quite linear at the start of the dungeon. The only changes come after the first boss, when you can either veer to the left or the right. A lot of people have different opinions on what route is better. I personally prefer the right route almost every single time. I don't really like doing the left route, especially on Fortified Week, because the cats over there, the stealth ones, they hurt a lot. They hit a lot. You can argue that the left side does give you more infiltrators, therefore more buffs, which makes the rest of the dungeon easier, but I feel like the safer option is the right side, and it also lets the DPS go crazy with the AoE a little bit more, so it keeps them happy, and if it keeps them happy, the run will go a bit smoother. I'm not really going to go over too many of the particulars in the dungeon, purely for the fact that this is more for the higher end gamer. 26s are... if you're at this point, you pretty much know everything about the dungeon. You're just trying to perfect the run and make sure everyone's doing the right thing. Now, the difference with this one this week is it is inspiring. Grievous is pretty much a non-affix. Healers can kind of just deal with it, and Blood DK just heals it up anyway. So for me in particular, it's a non-existent affix. All I have to really worry about is inspiring. Now, usually when you see these beams coming out on the ground, you would think you would move the mobs, purely for the fact that we do have a comp that requires mobs to kind of stay still a bit more. Instead of multi-dotting classes, we have Destro Lock with a Rain of Fire, and you've got your explosive your bombs with your Survival Hunter, and Kyrian Spear with a Warrior. You wanna keep things as controlled and as close as possible without much movement, so they can deal maximum damage. As you can see, they are blasting, so which is good. All you really need to interrupt here is Status Beam. Everything else it does hurt a little bit, but it's doable. Like, it's not really that annoying. Hard Light Barrier you can purge. We have people to purge that, so it's not really too wrong. Over here I would usually pull the Inspiring pack there, but since it's inspiring, I won't, because then you won't be able to stop the status beams coming out, and it would be quite annoying. People do get very angry if they get stunned for a solid 5 seconds. So I'm sure they would not be happy with that. Unfortunately, that does happen later in the key. I do pull those 2 into the next 2 packs in front of the doorway over there after the first boss, and yeah, it's not a fun time. I think we might have a death or 2 even in that pack, but it is what it is. You'd probably CC that at that point, or you just kill that specific mob and then chain into the other 2. So here what I'm going to do is we're going to wait for everyone to go behind that that corner over there, so then they don't get affected by this radiant pulse. Now I can get affected, it's fine, it doesn't do much, but you want to pull this mob as close to the corner as possible, so then when it does happen again, the range can LOS behind that as well. You can again use any of these like pillars on the side as well. Any kind of LOS point is fine for this radiant pulse, especially on fortified. It is a lot of unnecessary damage that can be avoided, so anything you can avoid or mitigate, please do so. It's a healer's job is already extremely rough. You don't want to make it any harder. And yeah, in terms of that, you see our ranged DPS, and our healer end up ignoring that entire damage coming out of that explosion, and we just stay there and deal with it. So we're just dodging all these beams as per usual. Very easy to dodge. Just go into the beam that, or go next to the beam that was most recently placed, and then you can just continue following that pattern. There's always a delay, so you don't have to. You want to make sure you're constantly doing damage. I see a lot of people kind of standing out and missing out on a lot of GCDs just by doing that. Just remember there is a timer on it. You won't die immediately. It will take a while for it to spawn. This boss actually went really well. It went on almost every single person that had some kind of immunity to get rid of it. Maybe someone used a potion of unhindering movement, which also works in here. If you didn't know, you can use a potion of unhindering movement. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, to negate the interrogation in its entirety. So as you can see, the warrior uses a blade storm there to stop that first interrogation. The second interrogation, I think, goes on our hunter, and we'll just turtle it as well. Let me know also in the next videos that I do of these dungeons, if you guys would like me to continue. Do you enjoy these commentary videos at a higher level? Do you want me to kind of skip through to the most important parts, or do you want me to do something else? I could really use some comments and some ideas. I have a bunch of ideas, but I just don't know how really to approach it, since I'm still kind of new to the YouTube game. So anything would be awesome. And I really do appreciate everyone that has watched all the rest of my videos, or even some of them. Some of the videos have been getting some really good traction, and I can't thank you guys enough. And we're getting close. We're building up to that 1,000 subscriber count, which is the goal for now. And you know, we'll just keep going from there. But we're doing pretty good. I think Lower Karazhan has gotten a lot of traction, which is nice. And the reason why I'm also doing these kind of videos is purely for the fact that a lot of the routes and a lot of nerfs and hotfixes happen throughout patches, and routes will change pretty much weekly, if that. So there are a lot of routes that I placed beforehand in different videos that are kind of outdated, and there are better routes to do. They still work. It's just there are other alternatives, which could be something to put up on the YouTube channel, which might be something you guys are looking forward to. Because I know for sure there are dungeons like Lower Karazhan or Gambit that have a little bit different in the way that they play out now because of some of the nerfs. And you want to play different mobs instead of the ones that you would usually do when the other mobs pre-nerf were really bad to deal with. They are now very easy to deal with post-nerf. As you can see, we've got that inspiring mob there preventing us from stopping the status beam, and it is hitting someone right now, and it's starting to get very annoying. But usually you would pull all these four and it would be fine, but because there's that inspiring mob there, it starts getting a little bit spicy. I almost procced there with Purgatory. I don't know how I lived that, to be honest, but we did get through it, no problems. And now it's just the case of, you know, CCing the bat, interrupting the blood siphon, nuking down the shield, interrupting status beam, all the good stuff, dodging the beams, all the standard stuff. Now let's move it across a little bit, just to after we kill Zo'gron. Okay. So we've killed Zo'gron, which is the mini boss. We're gonna go through and we're gonna go, like I said before, we're gonna go right. Now you wanna make sure you get these invisible guys out before anything else. So there should be one right here, walking up. There should be one on the stairs. If not on the stairs, there will be two next to these smugglers and the wise guy. This smuggler and the wise guy. So as soon as they come out, happy days. Try to make sure if people are kinda close. The mobs do jump over to others, so you don't want it to be jumping too far. And even if that's the case, you want to be able to, you know, grip it as soon as possible, especially if you're a DK. So that pack walks in. Now it is a bit spicy to pull that pack into this one, and you will see the insane healing requirement it is to grab this pack and then pull it into the next one as well. I purely just did it because I had a dancing rune weapon up currently and I had another one ready to go. So I'm like, alright, I'll be fine. And all the DPS had their cooldowns, so I went for it. It's just, it does get a little bit rough when there is all these hyperlight bolts going off. And the debuff does get a bit spicy. So I do purg there. And we end up going okay. We do lose two people though. Oh, one person, sorry. We do lose one person, which is unfortunate, but in these higher keys you need to remember you can't pull too small. You still have to do some pretty big pulls, but you just need to be a bit more perfect in your execution. So don't be afraid to pull big. If you fail, you fail. You just go again. But yeah, you still need to do these bigger pulls. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to meet the time at a certain point, and you don't want your pulls to be the reason why your timer is not gonna make it. You wanna kind of risk it for the biscuit, yeah. Get a bit of a risky one. If you lose a player or two, it's okay. You probably save time just by pulling 2 packs instead of 1. So remember that. Just don't go too berserk and pull a bunch of mobs that you need like 30 interrupts for, and no one can actually deal with it. Now, when I pulled that, the male mental's supposed to come along with it. It didn't. Regardless, it kind of works in our favor, I guess. So I'm gonna double pull here, pull him out with the LOS. Standard pull here, nothing crazy. But yeah, that male mental was supposed to come out there, but we end up using it for the boss regardless, and it gives us a little bit more of a haste boost, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, the frontal does nick the healer there. Luckily, they do have a seed pod, which Night Fae is absolutely broken for this kind of stuff, by the way. The amount of people that get saved by Night Fae seed pod is just, I don't know, it's quite insane. Unfortunately, tanks can't use that, otherwise it's quite redundant. If you get a seed pod, your group will just be taking aggro and you'll just be sitting there healing, and the group will be dead by the time you get back up. So definitely don't use seed pod as a tank. I don't know if I've ever actually seen someone use one as a tank. It's a bit of a weird combination, to be honest. So I'm just gonna pull these last 3 mobs here plus the dealer on the side, which will turn into a Nathrazine or an infiltrator. So I'll grab these. As you can see, the other Melment is quite low. I'm just going to pull these over here so it doesn't get cleaved heavily. And as soon as that Melmental pops, I'm going to pull the boss. Just so we have maximum uptime on not only the 1 haste buff, but the 2nd haste buff as well, which is the other Melmental. Because at this point, usually you would want Lust for this boss. But because, again, it's fortified, we just use the Lust on that double pull that we talked about before, which was kind of spicy. With all the hyperlight bolts going off, so that was fine. So the last points so far are first pack of the dungeon and that double pull before we go into the market area. So now we've got the second Malemental's buff right now. The infiltrator dies mid boss, which is really good for a healer. So the healer just gains all of their mana back, which is good, which is something you can also use during heavily, like really healing intensive fights. You can just bring an infiltrator and like pull it mid-boss, and then as long as you kill it mid-boss, if your healer needs to just absolutely pump the heals and just loses mana really quick, that infiltrator will just give mana back, which is a really smart way to utilize the affix, pretty much. As you can see over here, we also have our warlocks the closest to the chute where we need to put the briefcases in, and we have people not running all the way there, but we just have people chucking the bomb onto our warlock, and our warlock is chucking it in. So we just pass the parcel. Don't look at that D&D, by the way. I don't know where that death and decay was going. I just misclicked, trust me. No cap. That was fine. But as you can see again, we've got our warlock over the corner there. People are just passing the bomb to him, and then he's chucking it into there. So that's a way you can do it instead of everyone like running. Just have a ranged DPS, or even the healer if the healer's not really healing much, which usually it will be, but just have a ranged DPS chilling next to the chute, and then everyone can just pass it one by one to the DPS there. Just so you don't all have to stop damaging and then running and scurrying towards the to the chute itself. It does save a little bit of time, and especially during Tyrannical Week, you want to make sure that there's maximum uptime on this boss, because this does get very, very, very rough after a while. So the next little tidbit here that you can utilize is there's a dealer over here, and there's a dealer in the back right corner as well. So 2 infiltrators there. As you can see, one of our guys are on a 2-seater mount, and then you've got the other guy with the parcel on the 2nd seat. So you can do that to make it really, really quick. You don't have to do this on foot. You just have one person on 2-seater mount, that obviously you start it with not being in combat, and you have the other person just hopping on and off the 2-seater mount. Dropping the parcel, going to the next place. Dropping the parcel, going to the next place. Very, very quick and efficient. If you guys didn't know that, make sure you're doing that, because it does save you quite a lot of time. Because this bit over here in the marketplace is quite annoying if you get the wrong place. It is much easier also if you have the weak aura. It'll tell you what you need to be getting and where you need to be putting it on your map. So if you don't have the weak aura yet, look it up on Wago. Otherwise, let me know in the comment section below, and I can send you a link, or I can just add it into the description if you guys want. Just let me know though. Leaving a comment will always let me know what you guys want. So I'm grabbing all these. We've got someone that pulled all the mobs on the other side to grab the other infiltrator, and we're just gonna kill all these here. Once we do that, we're just gonna go straight to the boss. So you don't really need to see this. We're just gonna skip this a little bit. We're gonna go straight to the boss here. So there's an infiltrator right here. Once we go down, I'm gonna pick that up. Now you can pull this before you do this area, or you can do it during the boss fight. I prefer doing it beforehand, because all we're doing here is just using our extra action button. So I would rather do it here, but you can use it during the ad phase as well, because then everyone has their cooldowns up and you can just mass AoE. It is really up to you. It does not really matter. I would assume using it during the ad phase would be more beneficial, purely for the fact that obviously cooldowns are hitting everything. But yeah, I just pull it beforehand so then it dies relatively quickly, and just in case someone gets global or whatever. Yeah, those 2 mobs on the side, even though they were aggroed to me, they still hit the warlock. It might be a proximity based thing. This happens again later in the fight on the 2nd phase, and our warlock does die. I am not too sure, but I would assume it's a proximity based thing, even though I did have aggro, which is kind of weird, which means I have to run to one side, aggro it, and then run to the other side, aggro it, and by the time that happens, someone's probably going to get one shot. So it's just it's quite annoying to deal with that. So you want to make sure you 100% have aggro, or everyone is on the left hand side, or everyone's on the right hand side. You don't want people too spread. Otherwise, someone is just gonna get one shot. So as you see, our warlock gets smacked, unfortunately. Yeah, if anyone has clarification for this as well, let me know. That would be awesome. Yeah, so we're just gonna play this boss as usual. This is probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest boss in this dungeon. It's pretty much a tank and spank. You just have one thing you need to interrupt and one thing you need to stun, which is the teleport and the menacing shout. That's about it. Besides that, once you do 2 of these phases, the boss will come along, and then you just nuke down the boss. Now, the one thing that I see a lot of people that they don't do, or they end up screwing up, is extending their buff on this boss. This makes this boss so much easier if you actually extend the buff the entire time. So what I mean by that is by getting your 12 stacks here, because it goes up by 3 every time you use the extra action button, obviously making sure you hit all of them. So then you get that buff. You got 40 seconds of that buff. Now the boss will do the crowd control. And then that is when you want to be, oh, not crowd control, sorry, I'm pretty sure it's the suppression spark. No, it is the crowd control. No, it's suppression, there you go. The suppression spark, and then your ability will be in the center there. Now, you don't have to go into the circle to get it, and you don't need to get all 3 either. You only need to get the 1. So as long as you get one of them, it'll extend your buff again back to its original duration. So if you do that, the rest of this time, the boss just gets deleted. So you need to make sure you're doing it. Now, obviously each instrument's different. You've got the ones that that slide you forward, like the guitar, and then you've got the ones that do the AOE, like the one I'm using. I think it's the trombone, or the trumpet. With the guitar, you can just time it so as soon as it spawns, you slide through the boss, but you end up on the other side by the time the explosion goes off. So I don't use the guitar much, but I do know that's what you're supposed to do. So yeah, you can give that a go, or you can just do it like me, where I go right next to the circle, and then I use my extra action button just to get the 1 instead of going into the boss. Now here, we're supposed to be skipping this with a Mind Soothe. Now, I don't know why, but someone ran directly into it, but that's fine. You're not supposed to pick this up, this Peacekeeper, so don't worry about that. Remove that out of the equation. So now we're just going to do the mini-boss. Now the mini-boss, again, standard stuff. You get knocked back, make sure you're in the corner, make sure someone's over here as a range so the beam doesn't get together, and then dodge the mines. Very simple stuff. We'll move over to the side here. Once that's dead, we don't need to be watching us kill this mini-boss for about 1.5 minutes. So once that's done, we're going to kill the Peacekeeper as well, which is just extra percent that we didn't need, but it's fine. And then we're going to go to the right-hand side here. Now, the reason why we pull this, and then the Infiltrator as well inside before the next boss, is obviously for more stacks. The more stacks you have, the more damage your group's going to do, the easier and the faster everything else is going to be. And you might as well pull these, because there is still RP to be had for the next boss. If there was no RP, I would probably only pull this Infiltrator itself instead of the rest of them, because you don't need the percent. But we're just working on efficiency. So you still have 30 seconds, as you can see on the left-hand side, for it to be active. So you're not going to be sitting here for 30 seconds twiddling your thumbs. You might as well be doing something, banking resources on these mobs into the boss, or just dumping your 1 minutes, just to make sure that you're not just sitting idle the whole time. Now, as well, to save time, back to that mini boss we just did, you would not engage it, and you would just grab your healer or a DPS to jump up onto the last boss's platform to start the RP there, and then jump back down, just so you save about 30 seconds at the end of the dungeon as well. You can just go straight to Zo'asmi, and you don't have to worry about sitting there for 20 seconds watching RP. So if you're really tight on the timer, that's where you can save some time as well. This boss, very self-explanatory. The only thing I really want to talk about here is the second boss and the placement. You want to make sure you're killing it in the corner. So here I'm going to choose to kill it in the bottom right corner, where the camera's facing right now, so the bottom right. It helps with the placement of the orbs. So as you know, the second boss of this encounter pulses orbs. So all the orbs, most of the orbs, sorry, will stick in that corner. So you don't have to worry about having a bunch of orbs just running around. There will still be orbs running around, but the majority of them will stuck in that corner. So then as soon as you get that, buff, you can just run into that corner, and you'll just get 20 stacks immediately. Now, we only have 2 people here that can soak pretty much all 20 orbs that come out of the boss immediately. And that will be the Hunter and also myself. Now, as a DK, if you have the Gluttony debuff, which is the blue swirl if you didn't know, you could just Death's Advance into the middle of the boss when it starts doing Venting Protocol, and you'll be able to grab all 20 orbs immediately, which is very, very beneficial as a DK, as well as a hunter who can just turtle and then walk directly in the middle, as you see here, which is what a hunter does right now. And all those orbs are in the corner there, as you can also see. Now, I don't pick up that third boss nearly quick enough, so our Warlock does get slapped a bit, but he's alright. So I'm going to make sure that that boss stays in that corner. As you see, it's placed there. So only a few orbs are coming out now. The rest of them are kind of getting stuck there, as you see. So you also want this boss to be relatively close to that boss, the other boss that's dead, just to make sure that your DPS don't have to run too far to grab some orbs. Because these orbs, again, just like the buff that you got from the last boss that we saw, really speed up how fast you kill these bosses. Because those orbs give you a lot of damage. So don't neglect the orbs. Like, they should literally be your priority. It doesn't matter if you're in cooldowns. Like, grab those orbs. You will do more damage out of your cooldowns with a full stack of 20 than you will in your cooldowns without the stack of 20. So you got to think about that for a second. Like, you will do a lot of damage. So you need to make sure you're keeping that uptime, because it's like a, what is it, like a 17-second uptime, 20-second uptime. It's quite a lot. Now obviously there's going to be outliers, right? Like some cooldowns are going to be absolutely disgusting, and they're going to be pretty much your entire damage meter. But just think about your class. Think about how much damage you'll do outside of cooldowns and inside of cooldowns, and then, you know, try to make yourself get as many stacks as possible and in as quick as possible of a time frame. So here we're just sitting here for 20 seconds because we didn't start the RP beforehand, which is unfortunate, but it's fine. We're still on time for a 2 chest here, which is what I was aiming for anyway. So as we're going into this boss, again, very simple boss, but you will see a bug that has been in the game for a very long time, which I still don't understand why Blizzard hasn't fixed it. But these shapes, they're supposed to stop when Soazmi starts casting Shuri, which is the big circle that starts expanding. Now, only one of them do, but the rest of them keep moving, which is quite annoying, as you see. Like, the squares stop, but the rest of them are still moving. So if it chose the wrong thing, it would have been very would have been very spicy, indeed. But we make it work anyway. Luckily, the square was the one that got chosen. So we're just gonna keep slapping the boss. Now, again, you want to make sure as a tank you're positioning the boss in one of the quadrants, not directly in the middle of any quadrant lines. Right now it's in a half. It will be in a quadrant when it gets to 40%. So you need to make sure that you're not positioning it in a really shit place, because then people will get cut off and it just reduces the time on the, it just reduces the uptime on the boss. Like, there's literally no point to do that. We do skip the phase though, like for another 5%, because it was in the middle of casting a different ability. So we did actually get it to 33% before it even casted the second divide. Usually it would start at 40%. So that's pretty good, which means it'll take a lot longer for the rest of the abilities to come out, which means we have even more uptime on the boss before the next Shuri comes out. So what's happening now is Shuri's coming in 4 seconds. The boss is at about 1,000,000 health. I know we have enough damage to go for it. So instead of going into the next shape to dodge the Shuri, I'm just going to start pulling this boss all the way back into the far corner, because I know we'll have enough damage to nuke it down before we need to dodge. Now this is obviously a make or break play. You need to know if your DPS have the cooldowns. You need to know if you have enough damage for it. Don't do it if you don't have the damage, because you're just going to end up ruining the key. But yeah, that's the overview and commentary of a 26 Streets, 2-chested just by the skin of its teeth. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know if I rambled a bit too much. I tried to, you know, make sure that there wasn't too much downtime in the video, because, you know, just no sound is kind of awkward, I guess. But yeah, hopefully you think I did okay. And if you like these kind of commentaries, please let me know in the comments. It'll help me, and let me know if you guys want more. Because obviously, if you guys like it, I will continue to do these kind of YouTube commentaries. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you want. I really would appreciate it. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and we'll move on from there. I'm really excited to see how Dragonflight turns out, and I've been having a blast in Shadowlands. Pugging outside of doing streaming has been something I haven't done in a while, and I'm really happy that I am getting back to it. So yeah, again, thank you very much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next one.